we're going to copy the formula right here. So take a second, we're going to copy that. It's a square root. And then you have parentheses. And on your blue sheet, once again, you do not need to remember this formula. It is x2 minus x1 close parenthesis squared plus parenthesis y2 minus y1 squared. The key with this formula where people mess up is everything is under the radical. So when you're typing this into Desmos, everything needs to go under the radical. The radical is the square root symbol. It goes all the way across the whole problem. D stands for distance. So if I am walking from here to Duncan, it is the same distance as me starting at Duncan and coming back to my classroom, because distance represents the length between a space, okay? So when people are doing these problems, they get tripped up because this is coordinate point 1. So this is a first coordinate point, x1, y1. The second coordinate point is x2, y2. So it doesn't matter where you start and where you end because it's a length between the points, okay? So for number 1, first thing we're going to do is we're going to write out the coordinate points that are on the graph. So I know it's kind of blurry. 0, 0's in the middle, right? So if I start at 0, 0, I'm going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, -5, and up 3. So this first coordinate point right here is -5, 3. I'm going to write that over here. That's going to be my first coordinate because I just chose it. It does not matter why. I just picked that one first because it's at the end of the line. So I'm going to call this X and Y. And because they're the first coordinate points, they're going to have a sub number 1 because it's the first coordinate point I chose. The other point on the graph is over here. So if I start at 0, 0 and I go left and I go down, what is that coordinate point? -2, -3. So -2, -3, not for any sort of reason. I just chose to pick that 1 second. That's going to be x2 and y2 because it's the second coordinate I wrote. So x2, y2. Now what we have to do with our coordinate points is just plug it into the formula. So I'm going to... Yeah. So click EOC calculator in Canvas and then like it should pop up in a new window. Okay, so first on our paper, we're going to write it out and then you're going to practice typing it into Desmos. So we're going to write the radical. I have 2 sets of parentheses. I have a plus sign between them. So I'm just kind of writing like an empty formula right now. And then I'm literally going to go back and just plug in my numbers. So there's my empty spaces. Get off your phone. Get off your phone. Okay, so we're going to plug in our numbers. The first number I need to plug in is x sub 2. What is x sub 2? Yeah, genius. So that goes in the first one, -2. I have my minus sign from the formula. What's x sub 1? -5. And I know you guys are going to hate this, but I'm going to put a negative and a negative. If you want to make it a plus sign, make a plus sign. I don't care. I'm going to leave it as double negatives. Okay, over here, what's y sub 2? -3, minus sign, and I'm y sub 1 is 3. So this one does not get a double negative because 3 is positive. Now what we're going to do is on your calculator, we are going to literally just plug this all in. You could use like math, like PEMDAS to solve this, but why do that when we can cheat for free? We could simplify the parentheses and then square the numbers and then add it together and then square root it. But Desmos will let us cheat. This is the calculator you get on the EOC if you don't bring your handheld. So this one, we're just going to type it in. So you got to start with the square root because everything's got to go underneath the square root symbol. Got it. If you forget the square root in the beginning, you got to clear it and redo it. You need to type it in exactly the way. If you messed up, does your square root go all the way to the end? Look at my square root goes all the way to the end. If your square root stops in the middle, that's because you press space or you press an arrow somewhere. You can't press arrows at all. You got to type it all in together. This double negative, you could have made that a plus sign, but I'm just going to leave it as a double negative. Did anybody get something funky besides this?
I got 6.7.
Okay, so our answer, we're going to round to the nearest hundredth. So 6, 7. 0.08, so it's 0.1. So we're going to round 2 decimal places today because I'm pretty sure that's what they make you do on your test. So we're going to round to the nearest hundredth. Okay. The second question is exactly the same. Take a second, clear out your calculator completely because you need to practice typing this in from scratch. I would suggest we're going to try to write it on our formula first. We need to find AB. That means the distance between AB. So I'm going to use the distance formula. This is going to be x1, y1. This is going to be x2, y2 because it's first coordinate, second coordinate. Take a second and try to fill in your blanks. Write it out on your paper first. And then fill in your numbers.
And it's called cheating. Because sometimes they give you like numbers in the 400s and 500s because they don't want you to actually solve it. They want you to calculate. So it's like 3.
We're cheating. So x2 is 3, x1's -4. You should have double negatives or you should have made that a plus sign. Over here, it's y2, -1, minus y1, which is 1. That's how you should have it written. And that's how you're going to type it in. Yes. Quick. Make sure your radical, everything's underneath that, double negatives, which is not cute, but it's all right. We'll work with it. It's fine. Don't think too hard. -1, -1, parenthesis, squirt. It's like free cheating. Yay! Okay, so as long as you can plug it into the formula, you are hopefully going to get the right answer. Okay, so we're going to round to the nearest hundredth. So this is going to be 7.2. What's that say? 28. 7.28. So I'm going to say AB is equal to 7.28. AB, remember from yesterday, is a segment. So when it says find AB, AB is a segment on a graph somewhere. You are finding the distance between them because it wants to know the distance. It's not going to say literally find the distance. It's going to say find the length or find AB. AB is a length of a segment. So take a minute while you're here. Try number 3. Easy peasy. Write your formula down first. Fill in your numbers. If you have something weird, let me know. Well, wait till we're done. Try. A little effort goes a long way. Typing the numbers. Oh, what? It does, but you know, like I'll put them in. Something. I know. That would be great with the rough.
Been great. Oh, she said great. That's great. That's great. No. I want to see. I was thinking, what's your grade in this book?
Is that right?
It says.
18 point, what's it say?
Let me see.
18.68.
It says right, now it does.
Okay, so you should get 18.68. We are going to move to the next topic because this is great. We love this. Easy peasy. Okay. We're going to do the same kind of process for midpoint formula. Midpoint formula is actually so easy. You don't even really need to use Desmos. You could plug it into Desmos, but like it's so easy. You don't need to. So I'm going to scoot this on over. If you want to use your Desmos calculator, you can. I'm just going to put this over here. So midpoint, if we talk about midpoint like yesterday, midpoint is the middle of a line. It's the midpoint, middle point. Okay. So it says use to find the midpoint between 2 points, x1, y1, and x2, y2. If you look at your blue sheet, you do not need to remember this. It is on the formula sheet. Okay. So if I look at this midpoint formula, is right here. I'm going to copy this. The front part is really ugly. Once you have it copied, I'll explain what this means. Okay, so just take a second, copy your formula. It's on your blue sheets that everybody should have. Okay, it's not cute. The formula that you're actually plugging the numbers into is this back portion. This front portion, what do you think the M stands for? It means midpoint. So X, this means your answer is going to be a coordinate point. You're going to have an X value that represents the midpoint and the Y value that represents the midpoint. So the values that we're actually plugging this into are really just this back half. What it says is like your answer is going to be a coordinate. Because if you think about this, if you're 2 points on a graph like this, if I'm 2 points on a graph over here, I can find the midpoint, which would fall somewhere in the middle, smack dab between them. So you're going to have an X value and a Y value because it's actually on a coordinate plane. So we're going to start by drawing a picture off to the side. So for number 4, it says find the midpoint of GH. GH is my segment. So I'm going to draw a line. I have G and I have H because those are my ends. I need to find the midpoint. So in the middle, this is my mid. Okay, that's my question. That's what I'm trying to find. And then I'm going to put my coordinates over on my picture. So G is 7, -5. H is 9, -1. So this is kind of like elementary school. You're finding the average between two numbers. So like mean in elementary school, you're basically adding numbers and you're dividing by how many numbers there are. You're finding the middle. So we're only adding 2 numbers. So we're dividing by 2. So we're going to use the X formula first. So if I look at my coordinates, I have X and X. I'm going to add them together. 7 + 9. And I'm dividing by 2. So in your big brains, 7 + 9 is how much? 16. So now my numerator 16. Yes. So now we're going to do Y. So Y, I'm going to add them together. So what's my 2 Y values? -5 and -1. I'm going to add them together. Not that serious. -5 + -1 is -6. I'm dividing by 2. So what's my y value? -3. The reason why I have 2 separate numbers is because one is x and one is y. They come together to make a quarter point. This is my coordinate. 8, -3. That's the midpoint. That's it. You're basically finding the average between the 2 coordinates. You have to use x with x, y with y. So take a minute, try number 5. You're adding the x's, you're dividing by 2. You're adding the y's, you're dividing by 2. You're finding the middle point. So on, yes, surprise. Okay, what we're gonna do, because I overwhelmed first and second period and I figured out it like wasn't working. So like teachers, we like change things on Zoom. So we are going to pause with the notes. Oh, first off, let's talk about the answer to number 5. So number 5, what do you get? -2, 0. So -2, 0. That's your midpoint. So let me explain. This worksheet that we are working on right now, the notes, we are going to finish tomorrow because there's a backside. If I were to tell you how to do the backside, it's just too much information in one day and you get overwhelmed. That's what happened in first and second period. So third period, I tweaked it. Okay. Okay. I'm trying to explain that right now. We are going to finish the notes tomorrow. On the classwork, you are working on the front only because we have not done the back of the notes. The back of the notes match the back of the classwork. So we did the front of the notes. You're going to do the front of the classwork. Does that make sense? That's what you're working on now, the front only. When you finish the front, because you will finish the front quickly, then you can work on your quiz review because your quiz is on Friday. So you should have got your little half sheet quiz review. So working on this front first, then the quiz review. Yes. Yes, bring your questions or concerns on what you're doing. If you need to finish your quiz, I'm about to pull you so you can finish your quiz from last week because you got another quiz this week. So let me know if you need help or if you get stuck. Check your answers with your neighbor.